What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XRP today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. It's the 19th of June today, and here we are with 22 hours and 26 minutes left in the day. $2.16, almost 17 cents is the price. We got a little bit under 4 days left in the week here. The week is looking kind of gruesome at the moment. Big wick to the upside, a lot of week to go. We've pulled back this much. It makes me think that we will go a little bit lower in all fairness, especially after last week's results. A little bit indecision here is not a bad thing, but it does make me wonder if we have lower to go. If we're looking at this on a daily time frame, yesterday did pull down. We still have this like kind of triple bottom in effect. We do have higher lows. As long as this maintains, I think we're good. But looking at the daily RSI, or looking at the daily MACD, why do I keep doing that? It looks like, oh, actually, let's see, hold on. Actually, the MACD is not too bad. MACD's not bad. What was it that I was... Maybe it wasn't the daily. Maybe it was the 4 hour. Yes, the 4 hour. Okay, that's what it was. The 4 hour just crossed below the zero on the MACD. The 4 hour crossed below the zero on the MACD, and that would make me think that we have a little bit lower to go. The daily's not bad, but we could still build momentum to the downside. We could go lower and still not look bad, right? Is all I'm trying to say there. Let's get into the short term. Let's look at the 1 hour, and then we'll zoom back out from there. Okay, so the 1 hour time frame, RSI, you can see here, does have higher highs. These highs are the highest highs we've had throughout this whole range, and really in price we are not at the highest highs we've had in this whole range. We're actually lower in lower highs than this high here in price, right? Low high here, high there, lower high, higher high, hidden bearish divergence. When you're getting lower highs and producing higher highs in your oscillator, that's not a good thing. Hidden bearish divergence is what that's called. Yes, this does kind of look like a bull flag right here, but in downtrends, bull flags don't perform as well. It wouldn't surprise me if we went lower. I want to see, does this have, what do we have on Coinbase? Yeah, a lack of volume continuing up, right? You had a little bit of volume come here, and that was a nice recovery that you did. But you didn't go as high as we were anticipating that you would go, and you're stopping here, no volumes coming in. Stochastics look ready to go down. MACD at some of the highest levels you've seen in a second, and you haven't gone anywhere. You had some of the lowest highs throughout this whole range, so it actually makes sense that we would go lower. That's the expectation at the moment. We probably do go lower. Let's look at the 4 hour time frame. Again, you just crossed on your MACD. That's not a good sign. Stochastics are beaten up, man. I mean, you've gotten up here. They look like they want to cross into this band, but if you do move down today, likely the blue line will come down, the red line, the orange line will reject the oversold zone, and then you will just basically stay in this oversold area. That does happen at times, right? Sometimes we wrestle with this area, we get one final push down, and then we recover, and that tends to be the case, actually. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did. Let's look at this relative high to low real quick. Just above the 236, man. I'm surprised. I really am surprised that we didn't reach for 220. I would think that we do. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. If we get to 220, even if we get up to 225, I'm not wooed by this thing. I don't think that we're going to move up too much higher than that. I mean, 225 at the highest if we were to go up higher. But again, this cross on the MACD is no joke. The stochastics look bad, and then the RSI I'm not a fan of either. So I actually would think that we go lower. Daily time frame, MACD just started building bearish momentum. It probably gained some speed after today. Stochastics look pointed to the downside, and the RSI is not too friendly. Again, I said this yesterday. I'll say it again here. Triple bottoms are a thing, right? 1, 2, 3 bottoms here. Quadruple bottoms are not. If we return back to this area of like $2.08, $2.10, something like that, we likely will break the zone. And if we do break the zone, where are we going to go? We take a low to high, our most recent pivot, our most relative discernible low to high here, and the only sensible area below the 0.5 would be the golden ratio. It makes a lot of sense if we go to like $1.95 to $1.88. If we see some kind of move down like that, I mean, what would that do? Right, that's like a 10% move. Bitcoin would likely move down as well. If XRP is moving down 10%, Bitcoin would likely move down probably the same. Maybe we find support in this just absurdly odd area. If we look at Bitcoin, hold on, low to high, I would expect that if we break below this 236, and I'm kind of anticipating that we would go down to the 0.5, the 382 at 95.8K. Sometimes with the 382, you go just below there. You might see 94, 96K, something like that. But maybe there's a chance where we could find support at this resistance line. It wouldn't be a common thing to do to skip your 382 in this kind of scenario. And I did just make a video on Bitcoin saying that I thought we might actually form some kind of double bottom or higher low. If that prevails, if that plays out, it is possible that XRP itself does not go too much lower than these lows. But you would think that if we break below these lows, we'd go to the golden ratio. If XRP drops 10%, you'd likely see Bitcoin drop less than 10%, which is 8.5% there. That makes sense, man. XRP, Bitcoin probably doesn't drop like 4% and then XRP drops 10%. That doesn't make sense to me. But it can happen. I mean, sometimes that happens. What if Bitcoin and XRP both do this thing where BTC breaks out of this ascending trend line, breaks out of it, it finds support, you do get some kind of double bottom or slightly higher low, slightly lower low, whatever, you get like a fake out. What if XRP does the same thing? Maybe there is no such thing as a quadruple bottom. Maybe you don't do that, right? I wouldn't expect that you go here and then you bounce, because that'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4 bottoms here. I don't think, and you found support here. I don't think that you'd find support right there. But what if you fake out? Instead of going to the golden ratio, we can make sense out of like a fake out, slightly lower low, fake out, and then recovery. Something like this might coincide, like a 4 or 5% drop. If XRP does that, and then Bitcoin only drops to the 236 here, to maybe 3-4%, something like that, some kind of lower low fake out move there. We don't go to the 382. We find support at 100K yet again, and then we reverse from there. Diamond patterns, you guys. Diamond patterns are notorious for breaking out one direction and then flipping the other direction real fast. That actually might make a lot of sense. All I'm trying to do here is figure out where we're going to go. And at the lowest, it's the same area that we've been targeting for a while now. There's been plenty of times throughout the past couple weeks that I've assumed we would not go to this area, but at this point in time, the 19th of June, I am assuming that we do see $1.95 to $1.88 at the most. At the least, I would expect we go below $2.06. Whatever that means, right? Whatever that means. We get rid of this triple bottom look, we have a fake out, and then we reverse up. We don't need to go down here, but I'm just trying to make sense out of what it would look like if we didn't go down here. Because at this point in time, with everything that we've seen, the short-term time frames, the daily time frames, I mean, the stochastics are likely going to get oversold. The RSI could go lower and still be fine. 4-hour and 1-hour time frames are very suggestive that we have lower to go. I mean, you're dying off in your bullish momentum here on the 1 hour. You're probably going to reject the zero line. It just makes sense that we're going to go lower. So that's my expectation. Let's do XRP to crypto real quick. Somebody was asking me to compare XRP to BTC and try to make sense out of where the next price would be from lower prices in the BTC chart. Let me explain. Hold on. If I remember what they were saying. I didn't take a screenshot. I just remember reading it. I replied to you, whoever you are. You know who I'm talking about. 402. What was that? I don't know what that was. Did you guys hear that? I don't know what that was. So here we are for XRP right now. I've been running with the idea. Let me just clear the air here. I've been running with the idea that XRP has been below this area here. You've been finding resistance here since 2020, 2019, whatever, for 5 years. Okay, you've been finding resistance here for a lot of time. When you break above this, my thought is you're not just going to see something like this and then come down. You're probably going to rip all the way up to the next areas of significance, which would be, up here where you found prior resistance, something like that. Someone wanted me to do what if XRP didn't go this high? Can we do a pessimistic outlook or a conservative outlook on that? And I think that's fine. Let's do a conservative outlook, okay? Google calculator here. Because the way I see it, XRP, USD, by the end of this next move, when we move up here, right, we break out, we're going one place and one place only, and that is above $11. We're going to go from $11 to like $15, something in this range here, probably by the end of this next move. That's my expectation, something like this. It's going to be glorious. And maybe at this point we don't top off in July, maybe it's in August, but whatever. I don't care, right? I mean, it's fun. It's all fun and games to guess when it's going to be, but as long as it gets there, I'm really not worried about it, right? People can talk smack and be like, "Oh ho, it got there a month later than you thought it would. How do you feel?" I'd be like, I feel pretty good. If that's all it was, I was off by a month. Okay, cool, whatever. And I'm probably off by more than a month even, right? I've expected that we'd be breaking out and be up at these areas. Originally, I thought we'd be there by the end of June. Well, it's the end of June now. I highly doubt that we're going to be up there. So I've been wrong before. I can be wrong again. It's really not that big of a deal. Just like it's not a big deal when I'm right. If we're looking at this here, instead of finding resistance here, because again, whenever we do the math in accordance to XRP versus BTC at these levels or higher, and then we correspond that with what we expect Bitcoin's price to be, the price that we get for XRP USD is like $11 to $15, $11 at a minimum, right? So if we do this here, XRP BTC, and we're not getting there, how high could we go that wouldn't be that high? Let's try and deduce. Let's do some other, maybe other forms of analysis. High to low here, all-time high to this low that the low that we've seen for like the last 5 years. Instead of going up to this area, and probably by default, instead of stopping here, you'd probably go up to your 786 in all honesty. Maybe you stop at the golden ratio zone. As far as price action goes on XRP to BTC, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we stop in the golden ratio, but let's run the numbers. 40602. 602, right? If we multiply that by what I would expect Bitcoin to be, let's just multiply it. I like to see what it would be given the current price now, because whenever I multiply it by the current price, 104.6K, what we can assume then is that if XRP does move up, when it does, what the hell just happened? Okay, hold on, guys. I just pulled it off the screen. Hold on. There we go. Everything should be fine. You should be able to see this now. If XRP does go up, and when it does go up, I would anticipate that Bitcoin's moving up too. So if we input the current price, 104.6K, the price should be higher than this. Even at a pessimistic level, by the end of this next move, this is like a level that's not even a given minimum, right? We're going to be above this. So $6.30. In other words, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, and this is kind of the point of why we're doing this, if I remember correctly. $6.30 doesn't make sense. By the end of this next move for XRP versus US dollar, $6.30 or lower, any and all of those prices don't make sense. I already think anything below $10, $11 doesn't make sense in my opinion, but $6.30 right there. I mean, you spent 5 years consolidating below this area here, so that when you break out, you're just going to stop at your minimums. You're going to see like a little pipsqueak move like this. That doesn't make sense to me. But anything less than that, you're going to stop somewhere that doesn't make sense at all. Like, no, I don't. At least here makes some sense, right? But we multiply that by the current price, we get this price, $6.30, doesn't make sense, and probably nothing around there. So XRP, $6.30, we can write that off as a non-factor in our considerations, okay? And probably anything above there. We already knew that, because if we look at the USD pair here, and we take the high to low, high here to the low here, the 1272 is all the way up at 837. So it's nowhere near that. I think if you want to be conservative and pessimistic, not even pessimistic, conservative and realistic, right? Realistic price action by the end of this next move is literally 837 or higher by the form of technical analysis we're doing so far, okay? Let's say that Bitcoin's not at 104K, because it won't be. If XRP is moving up, Bitcoin will move up. So where's Bitcoin going to be? I think it'll top off, Bitcoin will, around 180K. XRP and BTC might top off at different times, right? XRP USD here, XRP topped off, I mean, actually, it topped off basically the exact same time that Bitcoin topped off. In all fairness, they actually topped off at the same time. So maybe they top off at the same time. But let's just say, I think Bitcoin will be around 180K. Maybe you disagree with that. Let's be conservative. Let's say 140K, right? If XRP is making a move, do you think at least from here we would see 140K of a move? And we can make sense out of that real quick. I'll try to make this fast because I know I've done this so many times, but let's just for the people that are not aware, let's just make sense out of this so that we're not thinking that we're just being absurdly bullish for no reason, okay? Looking at this on a weekly time frame throughout the whole bull cycle, which is a very constructive bull cycle that we've had so far, okay? From the low of this move to the high of this move, actually just to the high here, because we're not going to go from the overall low to the overall high. We're going to be fair, right? The majority of this move, that was 46%. Then we consolidated. This is part of the consolidation range, not part of the move. 46%. Low to high here, that was 58%. Again, not the high of the range itself, but the high of the move itself. Low to high here. This is not really when the move started though, so I'm not going to take that. Let's be fair. Low to high here. Again, we're not going to take that high because that's part of the consolidation range. This low actually is relative to the move. As you're measuring here, and I'm going to take this low here, put it up to that high, you can see each move is getting bigger, okay? Each move's getting bigger. 46, 58, 69, 91, 106%. Each move's getting bigger as the cycle continues. That makes sense. We've seen that really throughout all of Bitcoin's life. From a low to a high, this move is only up 50% right now. and we've been consolidating for about a month. I don't think that this is the end of the move. I think that we have more to go, and I think by the time that this is all over, all said and done, we should be up at least 106% overall, which would take us to about 152K. So can we at least agree there? If we're a little bit above 106%, we'd be at like 154K. Can we at least agree then that $140,000 is still being conservative? Can we at least agree there? That would be $8.40, right? So $8.40, we already knew that. We already knew that because, again, 1272 is right there. That's the minimum, right? But even here, we're being absurdly conservative. I think if you're trying to base your price predictions in reality at all on a very minimal level, from here, $2.16, XRP will see prices at $8.40 or higher. Now we're getting somewhere where it kind of makes sense. But even still, I feel like we're cheating to the downside. Let's throw in the idea that Bitcoin does go to about 155K. A little bit more than what we've seen so far. 155K, okay? 155. $9.33. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Probably around $10. And let's be fair, not financial advice, not a financial advisor. $10, psychological level of resistance. It might be where you find resistance. It's very, very possible. $9.33, that's still around $10. You could find resistance right around there. The only thing in my head is that if you're getting above the 1272 with the fibs, statistically speaking, you would just carry on until you see the 1414. And with the 1414, it's very common not to stop right at it, but to wick above it and then close below. So with that in mind, I mean, 1356 becoming a probable target, right? You take this XRP to BTC price still 40602, okay? And let's assume they top off at the same time because they did last time. And let's assume that Bitcoin does what I think it's going to do. Now we're not being conservative with Bitcoin. We're being a little bit more realistic, as I would like to say, high to low, right? 1886200 level. Maybe that's where we go. Let's make sense out of it this way too real quick. Hold on. We take a high to low here, and you topped off at your 1886200 level there. Okay, in all fairness, you did. We take a high right there to a low right there. You topped off at your 2618 in that consolidation range. That was your top, okay? You take a high to low here from this consolidation range. Where'd you top off? The 2618 yet again, 2618 twice in a row. You take a high to low here of the overall consolidation range, and you topped off at the 1886200. So between the 1886 and the 200 level, that's where we've topped off. Here is the 1886, the 2618's all the way up at 200K. I'm not even calling for that. I'm calling for 180K, all right? $180,000, which is, again, right here above the 2272. Typically with the 2272, like the 1414, you go just above it. You don't stop right at it. $180,000, okay? Equals $10.83, okay? This is all, keep in mind, this is all from that very conservative target of XRP to BTC at the golden ratio here, right? And we're making sense out of targets. To me, this is now we're really making sense. Targets that are probably above $10, right? But if we throw off, we don't pump the brakes, we give it an honest shake, we look at it for what it is, just plain and simple, golden ratio or not, where's the most likely area that we'd stop at? Breaking out of this range, we're probably going to go all the way up here where there's resistance here. If we're going up here, we probably complete the thought and see that 786. The 786 is at 3011. Multiply that by 180K, assuming Bitcoin and XRP top off at the same level. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. I don't even feel comfortable calling for that, but who knows, man. XRP, it might go to $19. I don't know if we run all the way up to $19. That is kind of the maximum of the range, right? And I'm pretty sure I did that correctly. Yeah, 301117 actually. It's even more. 30.0001117, something like that, right? Oops, I keep all these charts. 1117. Maybe they don't top off at the same time. Maybe Bitcoin's at a lower price by the time XRP tops off because this is such a fantastic rally. Maybe Bitcoin's only at $160,000. Still, crazy numbers, right? Crazy, crazy numbers. And I would think that XRP to BTC goes up to these areas, but maybe XRP USD doesn't top off at that maximum level. XRP USD might start to climb or continue to climb while XRP BTC decays or something like that, right? Maybe the initial pop gets us up here, but then BTC kind of catches up with XRP in growth. XRP's seen most of this growth. I don't know. Something like that. These targets do seem pretty high, if I'm being fair. But but something that's around or just above the 1414 at 1356 makes sense to me. So anything between like 11 bucks or hell, dude, 19 bucks. I doubt that we see 19 bucks, but probably if I'm being realistic, I think that's, and this is the thing too, man. I'm not just being a moon boy. If I wanted to be a moon boy, I'd run the maximum numbers like I'm doing now, and I'd say we're going to 18 bucks, we're going to 19 bucks, and it could happen. It could definitely happen. Absolutely, it could happen. But even still, we're being conservative and calling for it. Yes, being conservative and calling for $13 to $14, maybe $15, $16, $11 at the least for XRP by the end of this next move. When is that going to be? I don't know, man. I'll give it a time frame. I think it'll be by the end of July, but maybe it'll be in August, you know. But I doubt that it's any later than that. I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. All right, bye-bye.